Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our news segment. We begin today with a major development in the ongoing saga surrounding TikTok, the popular short-form video platform, and its uncertain future in the United States. President Donald Trump, who took office for his second term just a few weeks ago, has made headlines once again with his latest executive actions and statements regarding the app, which has been at the center of national security debates for years. On January 20th, 2025, shortly after his inauguration, President Trump signed an executive order delaying the enforcement of a federal law that would have banned TikTok in the United States unless its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, sold the app to an American buyer. This law, which took effect on January 19th, the day before Trump's inauguration, had briefly caused TikTok to go offline for American users, with the app disappearing from Google and Apple's app stores for several hours. However, Trump's executive order, which delays the ban for 75 days, has given the platform a temporary reprieve, allowing users to continue accessing it while negotiations for a potential sale proceed. Now let's unpack this complex situation. The TikTok ban law, formerly known as the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, was passed by Congress in April 2024 with bipartisan support, reflecting growing concerns over the app's ties to China. Lawmakers and national security experts have long warned that TikTok, owned by Beijing-based ByteDance, could pose risks to American users' data privacy and national security. Specifically, there are fears that the Chinese government could access the personal data of TikTok's 170 million US users or manipulate the app's powerful algorithm to influence what Americans see on their screens. These concerns have been echoed by both Republican and Democratic leaders, with figures like Vice President J.D. Vance and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, both appointed by Trump, expressing skepticism about the app's current ownership structure. Despite these concerns, TikTok and ByteDance have repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, with TikTok CEO Shouzi Chu stating in 2023 that ByteDance is not an agent of China or any other country. President Trump's decision to delay the ban has raised eyebrows, particularly given his history with TikTok. During his first term in 2020, Trump attempted to ban the app through executive orders, citing similar national security concerns. At the time, he pushed for American companies like Microsoft and Oracle to acquire TikTok's U.S. operations, but those efforts fell through after legal challenges and ByteDance's reluctance to sell. Fast forward to 2024, and Trump's stance appeared to shift during his re-election campaign. He joined TikTok himself, amassing nearly 15 million followers, and credited the platform with helping him connect with younger voters. This change in tone culminated in his executive order on January 20th, which not only delayed the ban, but also instructed the Attorney General not to enforce the law for 75 days, giving his administration time to, quote, determine the appropriate course forward in an orderly way that protects national security while avoiding an abrupt shutdown of a communications platform used by millions of Americans. But here's where the story takes an intriguing turn. Alongside the delay, President Trump has floated a controversial idea that the U.S. government should own 50% of TikTok through a joint venture. In a post on his Truth Social platform, on January 19th, Trump wrote, quote, I would like the United States to have a 50% ownership position in a joint venture, suggesting that this arrangement would, quote, save TikTok, keep it in good hands, and allow it to stay up. He reiterated this stance during a press interaction in the Oval Office on January 20th, stating, quote, TikTok is worthless if I don't approve it. If I do the deal, it's worth maybe $1 trillion. Trump's comments have sparked widespread debate, with some interpreting his proposal as a call for the U.S. government itself to take a stake in TikTok, potentially through a newly created sovereign wealth fund. On February 10th, Trump signed another executive order directing the Treasury and Commerce Departments to establish such a fund, and he suggested it could be used to acquire TikTok, though many observers have called this idea far-fetched. The concept of a sovereign wealth fund, typically used by governments to invest in industries or assets for economic or strategic purposes, is not new. Countries like Norway and Saudi Arabia have such funds, but the US does not. Trump's proposal to use one to acquire TikTok has raised legal and constitutional questions. Constitutional law experts, including Alan Rosenstein of the University of Minnesota Law School, have argued that Trump's executive order delaying the ban does not override the federal law passed by Congress, which remains in effect. Rosenstein noted that companies like Oracle, which provides cloud services to TikTok, could still be violating the law by continuing to support the app, despite Trump's assurances of no penalties during the 75-day period. Legal scholars also warn that government ownership of a social media platform could raise First Amendment concerns, particularly if it... The script discusses the high-stakes negotiation led by Vice President J.D. Vance and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz over the potential sale of TikTok, amid rising concerns regarding data privacy and its Chinese ownership. Leads to content regulation or censorship. Adding to the complexity, President Trump has tasked Vice President J.D. Vance and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz with overseeing a potential sale of TikTok. This assignment, first reported by Punchbowl News on February 7th, places Vance and Waltz at the center of a high-stakes negotiation involving tech, diplomacy, and national security. Vance, a former venture capitalist who once invested in alternative media platforms like Rumble, brings business experience to the table, while Waltz, a national security hawk, has long warned about the risks posed by TikTok's Chinese ownership. Both have been vocal about the need to address data privacy and security concerns, with Waltz previously stating that the app's 170 million US users' data is accessible to the Chinese Communist Party, according to congressional and independent investigations. The 75-day reprieve, which ends on April 5, 2025, gives Vance and Waltz a tight timeline to broker a deal. Potential buyers have emerged, including billionaire Frank McCourt and his business partner Kevin O'Leary, who have expressed interest in acquiring TikTok. McCourt has even met with Senator Tom Cotton, chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, to discuss a potential purchase. However, ByteDance has shown little public interest in selling, and Chinese officials have historically opposed divestitures of major tech assets, viewing them as a matter of national pride and economic power. During a phone call between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping in January, TikTok was reportedly discussed, though details remain scarce. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning stated on January 20th that business operations and acquisitions should be decided by companies. In accordance with market principles, but added that China's laws and regulations must be observed. The tech industry is navigating a murky legal landscape. During the 75-day reprieve, users who kept TikTok on their phones have been able to access the app, but Google and Apple have not offered it in their app stores, citing potential fines under the law. A Trump administration official told NBC News that the Department of Justice and Trump's executive order have made it clear that Google and Apple won't face penalties for offering TikTok for download. But the White House has emphasized that it won't dictate what private companies can offer. Legal experts, including Ryan Calo of the University of Washington, have noted that the law gives the president significant discretion in interpretation and enforcement, but any legal shield promised by executive action may not hold up in court. Some predict that tech companies like Apple and Google could seek declaratory judgments to clarify their liability, especially given the risk of shareholder lawsuits if they run afoul of federal statutes. Public sentiment on TikTok remains divided. Posts on X, formerly known as Twitter, have highlighted concerns about government involvement in social media, with some. Sorry about that, something didn't go as planned. Please try again, and if you're still seeing this message, go ahead and restart the app.